Hey, everybody. Okay, so wow, another playing with words again. So I had to sit on this for a minute because I had an aha moment of, I'm telling you, people are put in your path for a reason. Sometimes the conflict that comes into your life is there for a reason to give you a life lesson, and then you take it and you figure out why there was conflict, and then you wrestle with it, and then you figure out what the issue is. So I just, in my last transmission, was talking about the difference between help and manifesting pathways. Like, what is help? Okay. And we figured out what help is in the actual dictionary definition. And that's on my Facebook. Um, and so help is physically giving somebody assistance who has a disability. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, you could say you're helping somebody get a party together. Well, they're disabled in the fact that they can't do everything, by themselves, and you're helping them because they can't do it for themselves. Okay. So when someone is in a time constraint and they need to go enlist help from other people, assisting other people physically is because they've requested it, and it is physically helping somebody get to a specific goal. Okay. So, so when I've said that, okay, then here we go. Then advice. What is advice? Because that's really what people do on social media. So social media is, you cannot help somebody on social media. So, okay, we're not physically doing anything for anybody on social media. So then what are we doing? We're advising them on social media, especially in the healing groups and all that stuff, and these different other energy healing groups and stuff. And so, what I've figured out is social media either manifests pathways to either life or death. Okay, so social media manifests pathways to either life or death. And so to back up my statement that if you are advising people on social media, should you advise anybody if you're not well balanced in the mind, body, spirit, or the body, mind, and spirit? I need to change it around. Are you qualified to advise anyone? But if your intention is to manifest pathways to death, doctors advise all the time. And then people who take cues from doctors also do that as well. Okay. So we're not advising anybody because we're not qualified, because we're not, I don't even advise people. When people ask me, well, what should I do for this, this, and this? I'm sorry, but I am not a doctor. I am not qualified to advise you on anything. However, we have people out there that think that they're qualified to advise. And I realize, or I already know, that they're not well balanced in their body, mind, and spirit. They're aging, they're balding, they're this and that. Maybe they can, I don't say help, maybe they can share knowledge about certain things that a person could be like, okay, great. It's just like an enlightenment of certain things. But it's not something that's going to translate and because you don't know how it's going to manifest. So what you're doing is you're advising from an imbalanced perspective on a person who's already imbalanced, and it's not the formula to life. But even if it was a formula to life, you have no idea how they're going to take that information that you're giving them. So in essence, advice and help on the internet is completely pointless. And this is difficult to really glean out, because we're so used to using the words help and advice and thinking that we're doing something good for people, when actually it's very detrimental. Okay. So again, help is when you're physically giving somebody assistance where they did not have the ability prior to you coming upon the scene. Okay. That's what help is. And it's solicited too. So it's not you just imposing yourself and taking somebody's bags without their permission to help them across the street. You ask, or they ask you. You can say, can I help you with your bags? Or they say, can you help me with the bags? And that's it. But as far as on social media, we're not qualified to advise anybody, especially around health and wellness, if your body, mind, and spirit is not balanced. And look at everybody around you, they're not well balanced. People claim that they are, but they're not. Okay, so should you take any advice from anybody? that isn't exhibiting well-balanced. So now here's the thing. Now it's about education. It's about information. Educate, inform, and then you give people the choices. But you have to know what it is that you're educating. You got to know why it is that you're giving people the information about J-Juice. So what happens is then really when you think about it on the internet is social media and even over the phone. Some of you talk to your friends over the phone. Oh yeah, I have there's this protocol that I really, really like, and I want to help you with this. I want to do this for you. I want to do that for you. And you're not, because they don't understand. So now you have to now really reach down deep inside and realize that you're not qualified to help or advise anybody around the J-Juice. Nobody out there, not even me, is qualified to help and advise anyone around the J-Juice. Okay, so that ought to really hit home that I'm not even qualified to advise or help anybody, because first of all, I'm not helping anybody, because help is physically being there for somebody who is disabled. No, you have to do J-Juice on your own. And I'm not advising anybody, because advising is saying that what is advise? Advise is offer suggestions about the best course of action to somebody. So that's why I say nobody is advising anybody on the next course of action when it comes to the healing symptoms on J-Juice. I mean, we say, okay, in the book it says use the J-Juice on specific healing symptoms, but do we know if that's even correct for that person? That person's going to have to then make that decision. Now we can talk about our experiences and what we've done, but to advise somebody else on what they should do, no, we're not qualified to do that. But we can talk about our own experiences. And that's something that I need to, and I don't always follow that rule, but I'm really now focusing on the words and the speech. Because when you don't really truly understand the words that are behind your actions, there is going to be an assumption, and then there's going to be a misalignment. And then there's going to be expectations that are not met. Okay? So yeah, so we're not advising, we're not helping anybody on the internet. All we're doing is basically educating and informing people. That's all we're doing. We're not giving, we're not saying it's good or bad. We're saying it's life or death. Now somebody else can characterize the same thing with J-Juice, like, oh yeah, J-Juice is death, and then that would, then they'd have to substantiate that, because you just can't make those kind of statements without substantiating that. And I've substantiated all my information. But social media is manifesting pathways to either life or death. So, and if you're going to educate and inform, it better come from an accurate representation of the protocol and the recipe. Okay, what people do is when they do education and inform, they just pick out specific components of the recipe and then capitalize on the specific element that, of course, any overabundance of any one element, not compound elements, any one element could be deadly if it's not done the right way. And that's the thing, is that, and that's why salt isn't poisonous, because no one's going to just shove salt down their throat or anybody else's throat. There's a balance of water, and then there's a chemical process with the fermentation, all that stuff. So, yeah, so social media, you're manifesting pathways to either life or death. And I'm glad to see Kevin Van Rompuy come on. So Kevin, here's the thing. When we're writing the book, okay, because I know you're writing it, and I'm sure the word help is somewhere in the book. I can probably bet you that the word help is in the book. Help should only be in the context of when it has to do with a physical process of the body or of a specific series of events. Not so much characterize of what a person does with another person when it comes to the protocol. Okay? Unless you are physically making the recipe for somebody. But J-Juice, hey Kevin, the Jilly Juice, like in our group, we're not helping anybody. We're not advising anybody. Because help is when you physically help somebody because they requested it, where you physically are picking up a bag and then you're taking it across the street if somebody is requesting it, or if you're asking somebody if they need help with taking a bag or help with getting a party going, or like I've asked you to help me write the book. You are physically writing the book and putting it together, taking all my notes and all of your notes and merging them together to create a great creative process. Okay, that's what help is. But when it comes to the actual process, as far as in the group, we're not helping, we're not advising. Social media, really all social media is, and as well as our group, as well as on the phone with people, okay, or through private messenger, is we're manifesting either a pathway to either life or death. That's it. It's only two things that we're manifesting on social media or through the phone or through any kind of virtual type of existence. We're not helping anybody. We're manifesting a pathway to either life or death, okay? And so you cannot help somebody on social media because you're not physically there to help with some kind of disability that they have. You cannot help someone on social media. These healing groups, you're not helping anybody with healing groups. So either you're educating or informing, and that's it. You're not advising because we're not qualified to advise. Nobody on JJuice is qualified to advise anybody, because what's advised, offer a suggestion for the best course of action. Well, how do you know that what you're suggesting is the best course of action for somebody else? That's rather arrogant. Okay, so now all we're doing now, when you think about it, all we're doing is giving people the options, informing them, giving them choices. And then we're coming from the standpoint of life and death. Okay, so this is why I say, you know, if you're not well balanced in the mind, body, and spirit, or the body, mind, and spirit, whatever it is, are you qualified to advise anyone or qualified to help? But you don't need to be 100% well balanced to help anybody, because you can be very, very mutated and pick up a bag and carry it across the street for an old lady. Okay, nobody has to be 100% perfect to be able to carry something. If you know how to help somebody in a party, if you know how to help somebody and assist somebody in taking something physically across the street, or taking a watermelon and transferring it over to the shopping cart, that is what help is. Okay, so that's why we don't tell people what they're going to experience. We'll tell them certain things that are universal based upon the universal human body, but we can't tell them if their issue is going to be resolved, because we don't know when it could be resolved. They may quit the protocol, like, you know, before it gets resolved. There's no way we can really accurately give anybody a timeline of anything. So we tell people to tell us, what is your experience with the JJuice? We don't help you, we don't advise you, we only educate and inform you on the actual chemical process of, here we go, of the human body, the elemental composition of the human body. We talk about the formula to life and the formula to death, and then we talk about the JJuice formula, so you understand. Okay, so this is all strictly academic. We talk about the periodic tables, and there is no helping or assisting or advising about anybody about this stuff. Okay, this is, we inform you about the vaccine schedule is no different than all of the different viruses we are exposed to, not because of vaccines, it is because that's how the universe works. We have the environment and the life cycles of Earth manifest and create bacteria and viruses, and then we have to figure out how to live symbiotically. Okay, so that's all that we do with JJuice. We give people the option with all the information, and then they can make their own choice. Okay, that's all we're giving people, is choices in the matter. And so we can't be that arrogant to think that we have the answer. We don't have the answer, because maybe it's not the answer for everybody. Some people want to die, and you have to be okay with it. You can't ram this down somebody's throat. Some people want to die. They're okay with dying. They're okay with living their best life, enjoying, and they don't want to go through the healing process because it would then get in the way of their life. And so they would rather just have that predictable outcome. Okay, that's their choice. It's not your choice. So you're not helping them with anything. Okay? What you're doing is giving people the option, giving them the information, and they will make their choice, and then you be okay with the choice. And if it affects you, then that's okay. It's going to affect you. But it's not your choice to be made. It's their choice. Okay? So if you've been exposed to information that you're willing to implement, and then you have a great outcome, that is awesome for you. And maybe somebody sees it and they take cues from it and they do it themselves, great. If they don't, no big deal. There's no sense in ramming this down anybody's throat. So that's why because I see a lot of, well, I'm not saying I see a lot, but I have been skewered for saying that, oh, you don't have to be 100% healthy to be able to advise or help somebody. No, you don't, because help is physically just picking up a bag, and advising, well, you shouldn't be advising anybody if you're not 100% well balanced in your body, mind, and spirit. Because what are you basically manifesting for somebody? Because if you're going to run all of your help and your advice through a mutated body, then you're basically manifesting either life or death. And basically, if you're imbalanced, you're manifesting a death trajectory. Maybe you have the intention for life, but we all have great intentions, but we see that there's an imbalance between body, mind, and spirit. So our mind says, oh yeah, I want to live, but you're applying the wrong methods to your body. And then you see the outcome of aging and degradation. So we know people say one thing and do another. Okay. And that's where you have to now give people the option to understand what is the balance, what is the formula to life, what's the formula to death. And then you put it all together, and they put it all together, and then they'll make their choice. And they have to go through the healing process. You can't escape it. Okay. So yeah, nobody is qualified. Not even J-Juicers are qualified to advise anybody on their health. But we can inform people about the properties of what it is that we're promoting. And so, and then of course the properties, I mean, but then you look at the outcome. But then you already see the outcome out there. You know, in the holistic world, in the allopathic world, what's the end result? People die at the and here's the thing with the J-Juice. How do we say people are not going to die on the J-Juice? Well, here is the formula, okay, to the elemental composition of the human body. Here's a formula to J-Juice. Here's about cell regeneration, nutrition, and lactobacillus, probiotics, and micro and macro nutrition, and electrolytes, and all that stuff. And then we see that when people are taking antibiotics, which is not one specific type of thing, it's basically the intention by taking a bunch of negative elements and applying them to a body to then cause more imbalance, but also stop the healing process, stop the pain process. That is the formula to death. But somebody in the holistic world will characterize this tumor as something healthy because it stops a specific healing process. So they think it stops the pain, but it stops the healing process. They think that is healthy by not experiencing pain. And so that's how they're going to characterize it, but they still believe in death. Ask somebody in the allopathic holistic world, do you believe anyone should die? And they'll tell you, yeah, people die all the time. People should die, or not should die, but death is inevitable. I mean, Thomas Domino, ask yourself, do you believe in death? Do you believe people should die? And if that is your belief system, then you're going to bring in protocols and health tips that are going to be aligned with the death process, because that is your actual outcome of intention, is that people should die. And so what you're trying to do is make death as comfortable as possible. I'm not saying that's really what your intention is, Thomas, because you're very new, but I'm just kind of pointing you out because you're new on my Facebook. I'm not sure exactly what you've heard about J-Juice. I know you're friends with Gene, but this is what it is that we are experiencing in our society, is that we have people who will characterize healing as basically a anesthetization of their healing process of the body just anesthetizing the symptoms. And that's not what J-Juice is all about. And that's not really what life is all about, is living in a zombie world where you're just manipulating your hormones to have a specific result. So this is why I knew that certain people were not really aligned with the protocol, because they were utilizing the chakras and the different hormones and the different pressure points in our body to then create hormones to stop a headache or to manage a symptom of sorts. And that's fine in conjunction. Or was it Thanos is inevitable, Avengers Endgame? Okay. I don't know what Thanos is, Kevin. You gotta get more background, but I'm sure you will. But anyways, but with the J-Juice, really, it's about experiencing the pain and experiencing that process. And then some need to have a little bit of help. But we're not trying to circumvent the pain process, really. There's an element of pain when it comes to life. And if we're always trying to anesthetize ourselves, then we're gonna stop the healing process. So I had to really just get clear on that as far as help versus advise versus educate versus inform. Because that is, you know, we have to understand those differences, because people are under the impression that that they're doing something good when they're not. They're manifesting the death process, calling it something good, and it's not. I mean, I guess it depends on your intention. But if your intention is to live, oh, just a quote from recent here. Okay, if your intention is to live, then why are you promoting a death protocol, which is turmeric and honey and elderberry syrup and what else? I don't know. All the different, you know, therapies that are out there. Oh yeah, I'm sure Christina will get this. But I really, the spiritual healing is so hard, because you're dealing with biochemistries. You're dealing with major biochemistries out there. And a lot of them are very different. And so, and I really got caught up in the love imbalance biochemistry. And that's very insidious, because it seems like it's so great. Oh gosh, somebody loves me so much, loves me. But in a lot of ways, it's such an imbalance that eventually it'll turn into hate if you don't follow all the love, and all the rules that come along with someone that has the whole love. And then you also see people who are in the love world are very extremely feeling and so like emotional, and they get caught up in the conspiracies, and they get caught up in all of the ills of society, and then they take that stuff in and they process it, and then they regurgitate it, and so it becomes a never-ending loop. And people wonder why we have all the different isms, because everybody keeps feeding each other the same stuff, because they cannot seem to get off that roller coaster, that hamster wheel. And I see it in the patterns of people who are very much in hate or in love. And then the ones that are indifferent don't give anybody anything to work with, because they keep everything secret within themselves, but then they still exhibit the imbalances in other physical characteristics. So they may not say anything to give you anything to work from, but they will physically show their imbalances, but then they claim that they're healthy. So really the true balanced way is coming from acknowledgement. Okay, you acknowledge something and you move on. You acknowledge, you move on. Acknowledge, move on. And it's a continuous journey. But if you're still coming from the conspiracy world, the activism world, and you're coming from the, oh, I'm going to help everybody. No, it's physically impossible for you to help everybody or anybody, except for somebody that's physically in your presence that needs you to help move a bag or move something heavy. Okay? When you're on the internet, you're not helping anybody when you're promoting your activism, when you're promoting your conspiracy theories, when you're promoting fear and hate. There is no helping anybody. Help is a very specific definition. It is physically helping somebody do something that they cannot do for themselves. Okay? You cannot help anybody on social media. So all of you activists are not helping anybody. You're actually hurting people, just so you know. So what social media does, it manifests pathways to either life or death. That's what social media does. So you're either manifesting a pathway to life or manifesting a pathway to death. Because if you're helping people on the internet, you're manifesting death. Because you're working with people who are already on the death trajectory, and you're on the death trajectory yourself too, as well. So the only people that you can help is somebody in your physical presence that has a disability or that cannot do something, and they need physical assistance. So when you make the juice for somebody, you're helping them make the juice, but you're not helping them take it in. You're not helping them heal. They got to do it themselves. But if you're physically making the juice for someone, then you're helping them. But you, on your internet activism, is not helping, and you're not qualified to advise. Nobody is qualified to advise on health and wellness, especially if you're promoting life. Okay? So all you're doing now is going to give people the opportunity to take information and apply it and see how it works for them. That's all you're doing. And that's what J-Juice does. It gives people the opportunity to make a choice and to apply it and see how it works for them if they understand. And then they tell us what it does for them. Okay? The only people that are qualified to advise anybody are doctors, because they have a specific intention. It's to take away a healing symptom by applying negative and positive elements to the body with a specific intention, is to stop the healing. Okay? Those are the only ones qualified to advise anybody, which is basically the death process. But nobody on the internet, nobody on Facebook is qualified to advise or help anybody, because you cannot physically help anybody on the internet. All right. You guys will figure this out, but I will talk to you later. But I really wanted to get that out. And I want to make sure that Kevin understood that too. So that way he's not saying in a sentence, oh yeah, we're helping people, you know, out there. No, we're not helping anybody. We're informing and educating. And the blood helps a person live. That's how help can be used, is when it actually physically, it's in the physical context, not in a theoretical context. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.